Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan Gheesling. Welcome to episode 21 of the Dan Gheesling Podcast. Hope everyone is having a great 2019 start of the fresh New Year's. New year, new me. That's the first time I've ever said that in my life, but so excited you guys decided to join us here once again. It's crazy to think that, it's episode 21. I don't know what it is about 21, but I like the number. It reminds me of Deion Sanders back in the day. He was a very highfalutin, high confidence individual. And I always played football a little bit different than everyone else. But anyways, outside of that, we're going to jump into what's been going on the past week. Some interesting twists and turns, some interesting discoveries, some things going on in the community. It's been a lot of fun. But we're going to jump right into it. This is going to be another diary type episode, documenting what's going good, what's not, an overall arching thing. And I feel with 2019, it's good to project out a little bit, in terms of physical attainable goals. But also, to still don't project them out too far where you lose kind of the 6 inches in front of your face. But outside of that, I know it's a little bit off the cuff. But, I want to talk about one of the things that happened last week. I feel like whenever I test new things on a random whim, I would say more often than not, they work than not work. And I think a great example of that was this past Friday. I saw one of my buddies, Ryan, streaming Smash Brothers, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate for the Switch. And I'm an individual. If you don't know what Smash Brothers is, it's Nintendo's fighting game. It's a lot different than a typical fighting game. And I've maybe played in my lifetime, maybe 2 to 3 hours of Smash in my entire life. Never really got interested in it. Fighting games aren't really my bag of tricks. It's just not really my thing. But I saw maybe 5 to 10 minutes of Ryan playing Smash. I'm like, this looks really fun. And that coupled with Nintendo kind of finally popping the top off their monetization policy, where typically what Nintendo used to do is, if you wanted to publish a Nintendo video, or I think it was a little gray in streaming, or stream a Nintendo game, you had to sign up for their creator program, which essentially meant that you sign up for their creator program, and any video you did with Nintendo content on it, they got, a large percentage of your revenue you generated off of their game. It was really, for the time, it was really kind of a backwards way of doing things, not very forward thinking. But at the same time, I also read into it a little bit. Sometimes it was like a cultural thing, from my understanding. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I felt like, I think it definitely hurt Nintendo early on. But it's really hard to hurt Nintendo as a brand because, they're just so iconic and there's a lot of nostalgia in everything they do. But, do I think they did any long-term damage? No. But, long story short, either a month or two ago, they kind of reversed their stance on content creation. So essentially, they treat it much like every other company now. It's like, hey, go make videos and stream our games, and don't worry about us coming after you or whatever. So that's nice. And so I've always been, I grew up with Nintendo. That's my earliest gaming memory. I talked about in the first episode of this podcast is, I just don't know exactly when, but I had to pontificate somewhere. I was either between age 2.5 and 3 years old when we got a Nintendo. And so that's what I grew up on doing. I talk a lot about in some of my videos that, I feel like my DNA of what I'm good at, the games I'm good at, default to the games that I played as a kid, like Mario, Contra, a lot of platformers. Some Zelda, but I just feel like that's what I'm best at because that's what I grew up playing a lot. But anyways, to kind of come full circle, so I haven't really paid a ton of attention to anything Nintendo in a while, just because, that's part of it. In the back of my head, it's like, well, I can't really make a video on this and, have it monetized. So, and I don't want Nintendo causing any issues or stuff like that. So I guess I've kind of stayed away from that stuff, even though I love Nintendo at heart. And, that's why I haven't really played Mario Odyssey or the new Zelda game or anything like that. But anyways, long story short, I said, all right, this looks fun. I have a Switch. I don't really play it, but let's go out and get Smash. And let's start the Friday show, do a pre-show before the show. So have the normal show schedule start at 1 o'clock. We're playing the Messenger right now, which is oddly enough is a retro-esque platformer, and then Tarkov. So run the normal show, but let's start the show earlier and run our pre-show, and we'll try Smash. And there's a couple of interesting things that stem from that. The first thing being that how much fun it was. I was doing nothing but as a really, really new Smash player, I was doing nothing but unlocking the new characters, having fun, kind of learning the game, learning the basic controls. Because, I'd say the only fighting game I got into, which was when I was a kid, which was Street Fighter 2 on Genesis or Super Nintendo. And there wasn't a whole lot of strategy to it back then. There's like a light attack, strong attack, and some special moves. But, I didn't get super deep into it. So kind of learning the ins and outs, the basic stuff in Smash was part of the stream and the pre-show. And I really had fun. I'm the type of individual, I like unlocking stuff. I like the progression. I like the achievements. I like the challenge. And so I was just having a lot of fun learning the game and unlocking characters and having a lot of fun with it. And it doesn't fit into the normal style of games that I play or anything like that. But I'm starting to learn that I'm not really caring about that so much, trying to fit within this box of, niching down and really, if you're like, oh, hey, Dan plays this one style of game and that's it. And it's kind of hard to do because I feel like, not hard to do, but it was hard to kind of manage in my head where it's like, hey, look, I know I can grow a lot faster if I niche down and just focus on one thing. And I still feel like that's the best path of direction. But at the same time, I really do. I feel like for me, I know that if I niche down and do one thing and really go all in on it, I think that things will grow a heck of a lot faster. But I'm not necessarily in this for like quick growth. You know what I mean? If I can do stuff like this, but I'm kind of getting a little more off the beaten path. But so I was playing Smash and there's a lot of people watching. It was slowly growing. People were really enjoying it. And I'm like, it got to a point where, I think it was a combination, like a perfect storm. I was playing a game. I was playing as someone brand new. So I think people enjoyed watching someone experience it for the first time. And I think we were decent at it. I wouldn't say we were great at it. And then on top of that, for whatever reason, we had, I don't know why, but, I'm certainly not going to, make bones about it or rattle any cages, but we had Twitch front page promotion. So we're playing a relatively new game as a new player on the front page of Twitch. And I think, and of course, I definitely, and this is not oversight, but things have changed with the hosting system. It used to be like, so I'm part of the NLSS group on Twitch. And what that means is that you have to set it up, and I don't know who has everyone set up, but essentially more or less everyone in the NLSS group has everyone on the auto host list so that if, say, Ryan or Mathis or Bear is not online, they would auto host me or someone else in the group. But that's all done automatically. The way the system used to happen is that during an auto host, it would say, hey, Rockley Smile or Bear Taffy or Cobalt Streak or whoever has auto hosted you. And now you don't get that notification. So I don't, it's hard for me to kind of reverse engineer and say, okay, why were there, nearly 1,000 people watching us play Smash for the first time? And I always try to do that, try to reverse engineer, try to figure out why something happened. And doing that, it's hard to do because I can maybe assume, it's probably fair to assume that Ryan was hosting me at the time. Ryan has an extremely large audience. And but there was no really one way to find out. So I think it's definitely a combination of all. But anytime something like an anomaly or something like that happens, because normally I would say the average number of viewers on the show I'd say is 300 plus or minus 50 if I had to guess. Actually, I could probably pull that up and give you guys an exact number and really give an exact number to kind of timestamp it here as well. But yeah, I don't know, but anytime something like that happens, I try to actually for the last 30 days, the average viewers on the channel has been 538, and I don't look at that metric so much. I don't sit there and track it on a daily basis or anything like that. Maybe I should do it a little more, but that's not necessarily my focus. And my focus on what I do is if things are working, I try to make the best show possible and connect and build with the community as much as possible. Those are really the two goals of kind of what I'm driving with this whole thing. So anyway, so that went really well, but it was totally out of left field. It was a big viewer spike. It was about 2.5 to 3 times as many of the normal viewers. But it was cool to see because with all those new people in the channel, I was really, really proud of the community, how, and in particular the mods, how they handled people dropping F-bombs in the chat or swearing. I feel like, and it's come a long way, this is probably a whole different podcast, but for someone to come into your channel, not have an understanding of the community the vibe, the feel. You know, for someone new to come in the community, you can't expect them to know those things right away. So when someone does something maybe outside the confines of the show, which would be drop an F-bomb in the chat, it really could go one of two ways. Really poorly, I would give the example of a mod saying, you know, timing someone out without an explanation or saying, oh, we don't swear here, versus what I saw a couple moderators do, which I'm super proud of. They didn't time anyone out and they didn't ban anyone. They just said, hey, you know, we don't swear here in the channel. We keep things clean. And from what I saw, I don't. It was hard to watch all the interaction, but I know I saw 2 or 3, and people was like, "Oh, cool, no big deal," you know. And so it went really smooth, and I feel like it's one of those things, you know, whether it's Twitch or YouTube, whatever you're doing, it's one of those things that it just doesn't happen overnight. You know, I'm in a Discord chat with the mods. You know, it's fairly active. And it's been kind of like brick by brick, kind of whittling away what's acceptable, what's not, how do they handle things, how do they not. And it's one of those things that wasn't perfect right away. And there's situations that come up from time to time that they don't know how to handle it because it's a situation we've never talked about or anything like that. But I have a general trust in all of them because they all understand what's most important about the community, and that's what is the community and the confines in which we operate that. So I was really, you know, for having definitely a larger audience than we're used to having on the show, I was super happy with it and how everything went. And so the other kind of dilemma that came up while I was, you know, playing Smash for the first time is that the numbers kept growing and growing. And they got to a point where there was around 1,000 people watching, and it was right around the time when the show was supposed to start. And so there, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, hey, do I just scrap the show? And these are like minuscule thoughts, like quick thinking thoughts. Do I scrap the show and just play Smash the rest of the time? And in my head, I'm like, that would be a short-sighted move, meaning that the reason to do that would be because, you know, you want, you know, all these 1,000 people to stick around, which of course you do. But at the same time, that, in my opinion, that's neglectful of the community that's there every day, meaning that there's a show schedule. People expected to see the Messenger and Tarkov with some Smash. They didn't tune in to see Smash for the entire time. And while I was, you know, of course, there's always like the temptation. A lot of people are saying, keep playing Smash, keep playing Smash. To me, it's important. And I've learned this throughout the years, you know, there's been times, like I would say before the show, but when I would stream off and on, where I'd kind of have a show schedule or a stream schedule and then totally divert from it. And I feel at the end of the day, that's a short-sighted thing to do because people expect to see a certain thing. And when that doesn't happen, I would think they would be disappointed. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you, you tune in at 1 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm not live till 2:30. It's like people expect one thing and they get another. It's not how I want to do things. It's not how I do things. So the Smash segment definitely went on longer than normal, but yeah, I didn't scrap the original show schedule. So we went on to play the Messenger and we went on to play Tarkov. And in hindsight, I'm really glad that it happened that way because that's how things need to go. You know, there's always going to be that lure to kind of do things. And when you hit that anomaly of, you know, the rare, weird, random mix of things working, to me, it's not worth it to, and of course, this is, you know, I may be taking a harder stance or looking deeper into it than I thought, but, you know, of alienating the community or not giving the community what they expect or what, you know, has been told to them. It'd be one thing if I said, hey, if I tweet on Friday, hey, we're playing Smash all day, it's not going to be a normal show. Okay, hey, at least it's different than normal, but people had preparation for that or they knew to expect that versus saying, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then we don't do it. Yeah, so and I think that's important. I'm glad that I stuck to kind of my gut intuition versus kind of being tempted to kind of scrap the show because I did not want to play the Messenger and I did not want to play Tarkov because I feel like that would be, you know, if that was the case, I wouldn't have scheduled the show to be that way anyways. But I just think it's important for me at least, when I set a show schedule to stick to it. You know, of course, there's segments may go longer than anticipated, but definitely not scrap the show format or what was planned for the day. So what I did to kind of build on that, you know, because I knew people. I don't want to say people were disappointed, but when Smash ended, I knew there were some people that wanted to see more. What did I ended up doing? Because I knew I had the night free. I said, hey, come back at 8:30 tonight, and we're going to play Smash. And normally I don't stream Friday nights or anything like that. There's always something going on, but it just happened to work out where I had the time. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And so people came back and watched Smash, and it was fun. So to me, it's like it was a fun experience. I'm going to find a way to work, Smash into I wouldn't say the regular rotation, but in the top of my head right now, I'm thinking it's probably be Smash Fridays, do Super Smash before the show on Friday and kind of do the same thing we did last week and see how it goes. It could do well, could do better, could do worse. But bottom line, the only way to find out is to actually do it and test it and see how things go. So that was definitely a surprise and a good way to start the new year with just another test that went well. And I look at it almost the same way. Tests that don't go well to me is like, okay, cool. That's something you can cross off the list to not do again. So I look at it good in both ways. Another thing that I did is one of the things I've kind of adjusted in my home balance life is outside of Team Unity Tuesdays, I don't plan on using my home gaming setup at all. And reason being is I have a home gaming setup, and with it being there, there's always a temptation to do work, like record one more video or do a random stream. And, I'll still do that from time to time, but really I want to remove the ability, or at least the self-permission to go record a video. And the reason why I started getting to a point where I'm the type of person I can't turn my brain off in terms of if there's an opportunity to work on something, I'm going to do it. And so by saying, hey, Dan, you're not going to record any videos at home more, it forces me to be more efficient when I'm in the studio, and it allows me to kind of, for a little bit, unplug at home and be truly focused on what I need to at home. So what that led me to do is, instead of doing that, is I have a laptop at home, and when it's appropriate and, the kids are down to sleep and, my wife might be hanging out or doing something and we're doing something independently, what I've been doing is I've been doing some kind of administrative work on the channel and the show on the laptop while I'm still present with the family. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't want to get too much into it. But what that allowed me to do is I have a list of gaming projects I want to get done in the new year, and all of a sudden that becomes the time to get it done, where I'm not using studio time to do stuff I could do admin-wise at home on the laptop. So what that forced me to do is, one of the things that was on my list is I want to have a mailing list, and for a couple reasons, an email list. For a couple reasons is I want to give people insight for people that may not listen to the podcast, or if they miss a VOD, or if they miss something cool that happened in the community, or if they're in the Discord and they miss something. So it's kind of a place to highlight things in the community, maybe things they've missed, because I don't think it's realistic for me to think that everyone knows everything going on with the show, the channels, the community at all times. And some people like email, some people don't. Some people like podcasts, some don't. Some people like watching the Twitch show live. Some people like watching on the second YouTube channel where we have VODs. Some people don't know we have a second YouTube channel where we have all the VODs from Twitch. So I think it's another way to provide value to people in the community that want to stay informed, and in case they can't always be there, and then they still want to be in the loop. So kind of like just keeping people informed. I think it'll be another cool way to distribute special things. I don't want to give too much away, but maybe game codes, invites to certain things, give people a heads up if there's a community night, things in that way. It's another good way to keep in touch with people. I have an idea. I don't want to talk about ideas, right? I'm just going to talk about things we do, and and then also on a macro level, or on a business, on a binary, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but on a business level, is that I started to think, and it's an issue for anyone, but let's say if Twitch just magically disappeared tomorrow. Outside of the Discord, I don't know how I would get in touch with everyone, right? Like my phone blowing up right now. And so I think it's a good way to, keep in touch with people in the event that, something happens to Twitch. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen, but it's kind of one of the things where I guess a tenet of if you're doing something online is you're at the liberty of the platform, right? So if you're on YouTube and YouTube goes away or something weird happens with the algorithm, it's not YouTube's fault. that you can't get to your subscribers, it's your fault because you don't have some weight. Same thing with Twitter. You're bound to the rules of the platform, and essentially, the only way I could think of it is unless I came up with a mailing list. There's no other way to do that. No way to keep in touch if X goes away. So I think that's something that I'm going to be focusing on. This week I would expect the first email to go out, or at least I'm going to start talking about it more in the live show and in the Discord and things like that. And it's completely optional. People don't have to do it, but I think people will get a lot of value from it. Of course, I'm the type of individual, like we talked about when we did the in-house merch. I like to do surprises. I like to give people things they don't expect. And so I feel like this is another way that I'm going to be able to do that and surprise some people in the community when they least expect it. So that's something that physically did the past week. I'm excited about that. And, I can't help but think everything we do here just kind of builds on each other, right? It's like you can't do all this in one day. It just takes a long time and a lot of patience, and I'm excited about it. So another thing that's going on this week, or that's been going on, is it's the end of the NCAA Bowl Championship Series, another thing out of left field that seemed to work. The views on every episode, so we've done 18 videos, and all but 4 of them, had really good views for the channel. Really good views, meaning above 1,000 views per episode, which, is somewhere around what we were getting for Star Citizen, more or less. There's some, and it's one of those things you can't explain. I try to reverse engineer, one of these videos, one of these college videos, NCAA football videos has, which one? The 2018 Outback Bowl has 2,700 views on it. There's some anomalies in here. The Armed Forces Bowl, Houston versus Army, it almost has 2,000 views. Like, you just don't know what's going to work. And I think one of the things that's been cool about it, well, there's a lot of cool things. And it's the one thing is for me is that it's a game series that I've enjoyed so much. It's just really funny and odd to me that the game's 6 years old and, it's doing well on the channel. And it's just, you don't have an explanation for it, but listening to the feedback and the comments, a lot of people have said, hey, they've enjoyed learning something about football during this series, whether, maybe a little more in-depth knowledge about a defense, formations, or even just the basic knowledge of how football works. It's been fun for me to see people say, hey, Dan, I learned this about football because of this series. And I think I started just doing that just naturally, explaining why I was doing something or reading a particular set, because I haven't talked about, or maybe I take a lot of that stuff for granted because I have an extensive background in coaching football. A lot of people don't know that during my undergrad I volunteered as a student assistant and equipment manager, and I was around Division I college football at Michigan State. I actually had an internship in the NFL, I think for 2 or 3 summers with the Lions. And then I'd say my most extensive was, I was a graduate assistant football coach at Michigan State University for 2 years, where I learned a lot of this stuff. I learned, different fronts and when you press coverage, how to beat cover 2. All this stuff that I take for granted, I think, kind of came out in these videos, which was fun. I coached high school football, was fortunate to win 3 state titles, and I think coached 7 or 8 seasons of high school football. So I think it's been cool to see people learn from that and share that they enjoy that. In addition to, from a macro level on the video standpoint, I've been able to kind of ride a little bit of a hype wave of a bowl season, right? So I'm making videos that have a relevant tie-in to what's going on in sports culture, popular culture right now, segmented down to college football, meaning that maybe there's someone who's a fan of, BYU, and they were Googling, BYU, or they weren't Googling, they were in YouTube typing in BYU versus Western Michigan famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And maybe they were an NCAA 14 fan, and maybe the video popped up, and maybe they found the YouTube channel because of that, because there's some relevancy to what's going on real time with this, which has been cool, and I've really enjoyed it. So now that series is ending, I'm gonna toy with continuing the series in a different fashion with running a college dynasty, and we'll see how it goes. And it's really kind of opened me up to being okay and excited to play sports games on the channel. And I think the key word with that was excited. You know, there wasn't a moment when I was like, oh man, I got to record an NCAA football video. I was like, spent time thinking about, well, like, I'll never forget, there was a game, it was the Rose Bowl that I recorded, Ohio State versus Washington, and the whole goal of the series was to at least finish the series with a 500 record, and we had to win this Rose Bowl game, and we lost the game. I remember being actually really disappointed, leaving the studio, driving home, thinking about the game. That's how invested I was into this. And so, you know, I think about the series a lot and different fun things we could do with it, but I'm just really into it. And it's cool when you can be really into a game or a video series and then the community also enjoys it. And I feel like this is kind of one of those situations. Now, I don't know, you know, is it going to last beyond, you know, the wave of hype going on? We'll find out. You know, I'll let you guys know next week after a couple Dynasty videos hit. But, you know, for me, I'm not going to abandon the other games that I play. You know, I like playing, you know, Tarkov and some roguelike games. And so I think it's just kind of finding the balance, right? And you know, ideally, of course, I'd love to have 2 videos up a day on YouTube, 2 exclusive videos up a day on YouTube, but I'm not beating myself up over it. I just got to get a little bit more dialed in, and, you know, I still want to play some roguelikes, some first look ats, and ideally I would want to have a fresh exclusive video on the channel Tuesdays and Thursdays of Tarkov videos. But, you know, it's going to take time to get there, but, you know, it's all part of the plan. And you know, it's not going to become an NCAA college football channel only, but same, just what we've been doing over the past 5 years. Try different stuff, what works, stick with, and if you're having fun, keep it rolling. Another interesting thing that popped up over the past week or so was, you know, there's a couple people in the community, I believe it was the idea of a moderator, said, hey, Dan, can we open up a channel in the Discord for people that want to be a little bit more active, and, you know, we could talk about setting fitness goals. So it kind of became like a little bit of a fitness challenge. It was a community idea. It was super simple. Everyone, you know, not everyone, but some people hopped in that additional room and said, hey, I want to set one fitness goal. I want to be more active. And I took a little bit of an active role in that. You know, people that wanted to set a goals, I try to help them dial it down. And so now there's a group of people in the Discord that are pushing each other to stick with their active goals. And I think it's fun. You know, anytime an idea comes from a community, or comes from the community, it's a good idea, right? Because it's something people want to do, and I'm excited about it too. Like, I'm checking in on different people. I know there's certain people have different goals, and it's another way to connect with the community. You know, I know that X person wants to work out before this time every day, and it's cool. It's just another way, you know, to help people. You know, like I said, the goal of the show is to make people laugh or smile. This is another way that, you know, I think hopefully it can have a positive impact on people. So I'm super excited about that. And to me, that's an indication of how the community is growing and changing. And I'm just really fired up about it. Another thing that's been instituted will be started on Monday. It'll be an interesting experiment to see how it goes. But I'm starting to look at the Twitch broadcast as a show like I always have, but just trying to find out other ways to, I don't want to say hack, but other ways to do a better job promoting everything that's going on. So I worked with Zane, the editor, on having some super, super non-intrusive pop-ups on the broadcast. Pop-ups meaning like something you would see if you're watching a TV show in the bottom right corner, very small, like, oh, score alert, this happened. And so the reason, you know, for that, it's going to pop up things to keep people aware of things going on. People may not know we have a Discord. Unless right now, the only way people know we have a Discord is if I talk about it during the live show, or if someone in chat's talking about it. Meaning, like, if I don't say, take time from the broadcast to say, hey, be sure to join our community Discord. There's a lot going on. DanGheesling.tv/Discord. People playing Tarkov. There's active all the time. So now what's going to happen, and I'm gonna see how it goes, is we have a series of images. My goal is to make it non-intrusive, not annoying, but inform people. And, you know, it's just another way to keep growing and keep things moving. But essentially, it's going to be a little pop-up that says, hey, you know, do you know we have a community Discord? ! Discord in the chat to find out more. Hey, do you know Dan has an Instagram where he posts an, you know, photo or video every single day? Hey, you know, Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription. So just kind of finding the balance for that. I'm really interested to see on the Monday show to see how people react to it. You know, I don't want it to be a distraction. I don't want it to be, you know, I don't want it to annoy people, but I think it's something that's going to be good in the long term, as long as it's not overwhelming and doesn't pop up too frequently. So that's one of those things right now. The numbers, I have it set to display something, I think, for 10 seconds every 10 minutes. So the image will change. It'll pop up for 10 seconds, go away, and then another one will pop up in 10 minutes. But like I said, the goal is to keep it small, out of the way, non-intrusive to the gameplay or the show, but also another way to keep people updated of what's going on in case they don't miss it. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know next week the response to it, and if I should do it more frequently, less frequently. But I'm fired up about it. It's a way to, to continue to grow, in my opinion, and I feel like if you want to continue to grow, you got to continue to do different things. And I think this is, I think overall this will be a net benefit to the community and keeping people dialed in. Outside of that, Instagram's been going well. I took 2019 as a reset to post something every single day, and you found a way. And I posted this on Instagram. I said, hey, look, I posted a selfie, and I got nothing against selfies for people, but for me, it's just not my thing. And I posted a selfie. I said, hey, look, this is going to be my dang selfie. If I miss something, if I don't have anything prepped for Instagram, I'm going to post a selfie, because to me, it's like self-motivating. I don't want to post a selfie, but at the same time, I want to post something every single day on Instagram, because I think it's a means for growth for the channel and the community. So if I do a little bit of prep work, there'll be a video on Instagram. If I post a photo, it means I haven't prepped as much and maybe a little bit of panic mode. But basically, I posted this selfie on Instagram saying, hey, look, I kind of wrote a couple paragraphs saying, hey, look, this is important to me. This is something I want to do. And it's a way to help keep myself accountable to people that follow me on Instagram, meaning that I was able to kind of do that with running, right? This is the most I've consistently run. I think it's been 30 weeks straight of running 2 miles 5 days a week. And I think what's really helped me for that, it's been a couple of reasons. I have a little bit different reasons for why I run now than before, but also I've been posting my runs. And it's almost like there's people that are following you, and some people have been expected to see it. And I'm like, hey, if I don't miss this, I got to tell these people I missed a day. And to me, it just puts a little more pressure on me to stick with it. And I'm kind of leveraging that same pressure to keep me going on Instagram. So it's been interesting. And it's funny, when I do this stuff, I never know the ancillary things that happen from it. And one of the things is I'll get messages on Instagram saying, hey, Dan, watching you post your workout or your times every day motivated me to start working out more. I couldn't have told you that was going to happen, and you just don't know what's going to happen. You just do stuff and see what happens, and that's, like I said, whether it's Instagram or anything you do, something you're trying to build or get better at, just try stuff. And that's the only way that you get better. That was always my best advice, I felt like, that I gave to former high school students, is that people are like, well, I don't know what I want to do or what I want to do when I graduate college. I don't know what I want to study in college. I always feel like the best advice is, if you think you want to be an accountant, go reach out in your network of friends and family. You're going to find someone that's an accountant. Ask them, hey, can I spend 2 days with you at work just shadowing you? You're going to see what it's like to be an accountant for 2 days. And you're going to say, oh, this is kind of cool. I could see myself doing it. Or, oh, I hate it. I'll cross that off the list. And so I feel like that's the best advice. You learn by doing things. You learn by, maybe you want to do this for your life or your career, by being with someone that's doing it. And you'll know right away. It's pretty easy, I've had jobs in the past I haven't talked about a lot, but, right when I knew I didn't want to coach college football, that's a whole nother story, but I was finishing up my graduate assistant, my master's degree at Michigan State, and I'm like, okay, I know I don't want to coach college football, now what? And I got a job as a pharmaceutical sales individual, and coming out of college, it paid really well. I got a free car, free cell phone, and I did it for like a day or two, and I went through training, I got hired, and I shadowed, and part of the training after you got hired was to shadow someone doing that. And I'm like, I did it shadowed for a day, and I'm like, get me out of here. I couldn't do it, and I had to tell him, hey, look, I don't want the job. And it was a lot of money to give up at the time. And, I'd just come off of college. I didn't have any money or anything like that. I wasn't making any money. And so I turned it down. But it was one of those things where, like, I did it, and I'm like, I can't do this my whole life. And I stopped doing it. And I went on to substitute teach, and got paid a substitute teacher's wage. Well, I kind of figured out and tried different things. That's a whole different story. But the bottom line is, the only way you're going to like something is either you do it or you're not, and you're going to get feedback for yourself. And I feel like that's applicable. Same thing. That's what I'm doing here. I try stuff. People like it. Cool. They don't like it. Cool. Yeah. But you adjust and move. So, outside of that, man, it's been a good week. Channel's going well. Everything's going good, and just trying to get better every single week. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys dialing in, and I'm super excited, man. It's just I just feel so grateful and fortunate that I have the opportunity to do what I do, where I'm excited, and it doesn't feel like work, and it's just time flies when I'm working on stuff, and I just appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the feedback. I'm so fired up about the community and how people treat each other, and just everything's going on. It's going really well. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 21. I look forward to the next podcast. It's next Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have shows all this week on twitch.tv/Dan Gheesling. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Let me know what you guys think. Tweet me at Dan Gheesling. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know your favorite part, what you learned from it, what you took away from it. And if you haven't already, if you're listening to this on iTunes and you're enjoying it, I would encourage you guys it would be helpful to me if you left a rating. I'm not saying twist your arm and leave a 5-star rating, but leave a rating. It just helps for the podcast to get discovered. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.